go-wump-key, also known as cabbage rolls. Stuffed cabbage, goes by a lot of names. It comes from Poland, it's beefy, it's amazing. Dziękuję, Polish, beefy, amazing. Go-wump-key literally translates from Polish into English as pigeon. It's not made of pigeon, it's beef. But because they're like little, rolls, they pigeon. It's just the shape, all right? Just let it happen. So these are amazing. I grew up eating these. My grandmother used to make them. They were amazing. I make mine a little bit different than she does, but mine are delicious too. Let's get it done.
We're going to start off with 2 heads of cabbage. 2 nice heads of cabbage. This was the best cabbage I could find. So we're going to take a semi-stiff knife and carefully, we're going to take the cores out. So slice at an angle inward around the core. Make sure you have good control of the cabbage and good control of your knife, because you don't want to slip and take off a finger. That would not be good. Then you got to kind of pop it out and then clean it out a little bit. Look at that. There you go. That inside part, by the way, is super sweet. You can eat it raw, and it is tasty. I actually did pull that out and eat it. But you want to cut the core out, not only because you don't want to eat the core because it's kind of hard, but that'll help the water soak into the cabbage and separate the leaves when we boil it later. So there's our 2 heads. With the cores removed, we're going to set those off to the side and move on to slicing our onions. We're going to use 2 medium onions and get a kind of a rough dice on them. They don't have to be super small. We're going to saute these. We're actually going to caramelize them, and those are going to go into our meat mix. That's it. Just rough dice. You get them both, set them off to the side. Next step, I forgot to hit the record button again, but there is 1 cup of rice in that boiling water, and we're going to parboil it for 10 minutes. So I assure you there is rice in there. Give it another scoop. Come on, Raj. Stop slacking. And you just, like I said, you're just going to simmer it for 10 minutes. It's not going to be fully cooked. There we go, see? Long grain white rice. 1 cup in the boiling water, 10 minutes, parboil it. And now once it's done, what we're going to do is we're going to strain it off. Forgive me, Uncle Roger. We're going to use a colander. We're going to strain it off. We're going to rinse it off. It's going to finish its cooking with the meat. We're not making egg fried rice, so calm yourself. We'll drain it off. Then I have a bowl with some very cold water. We're going to pop it in there, give it a little stir so it stops the cooking. And then we're going to just dump that bowl of water out and let the rice dry out. Well, not dry out, but, let the water get out of it. We don't want it completely wet. Now, in a very large pot of boiling water, we're going to dunk our heads of cabbage. And then we're going to kind of work with the tongs to separate the leaves. It'll take a few minutes and the leaves will loosen up, and you pull the outer leaves off, let it go a little bit longer. You can use wooden spoons. You can actually use chopsticks for this. That would be good. I just couldn't find my long ones. So I was wrestling around with the silicone-tipped tongs. So as you pull them off, you kind of dunk them under the heads as you work them. Then once they're soft, pull them out. There's a bowl right next to the pot there. I'm just taking them out, putting them in the bowl, and continuing working them. Now, as you get to the middle, you get those whiter, thicker leaves, which are sweeter in taste. They're just not as tender. So now in a large, this is my 5.5 quart stock pot, I'm going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of canola oil. We're going to get that hot, put our onions in to caramelize. Now, as these caramelize, we're not going to add salt to these, by the way, because we're going to salt our meat mix when we make it. But as we cook this, a little bit of fond is going to grow on the bottom of the pan. Don't worry about that. We're actually going to cook our cabbage rolls in this, and that will give some flavor into the sauce that we're going to make. So get these nice and caramelized, transfer them to a bowl, let them cool off. They don't have to get ice cold, but you want them cold enough because you're going to be handling them with your hands. So in the time it takes us to put the rest of our meat mix together, these will be nice and cool. So get them all out. Set that pot off to the side. Again, don't clean that pot. We're going to need that pot with the fond on the bottom to finish off our go-wump-key. So get that off to the side. Let that cool. Now in a large mixing bowl, we're We're gonna add our onions back in. We could have actually added our onions right into here, but I just felt like making the kids do dishes today. So put your onions in. Then we're gonna add 2 pounds of 80/20 ground chuck. That's the best meat to use. You can go leaner if you want. You can go fattier if you want. You can use a different cut. 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, and then 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. I don't recommend using the smoked. You can use the Hungarian if you want a little extra kick. 2 whole eggs. Put that in. This kind of looks like meatloaf. 4 tablespoons of chopped parsley. And our rice. Now we're going to mix this up. We don't want to really grind it together. We kind of want to keep our fingers a little separated and loose and just mix it so it's mixed. We don't want to really force it. We don't want to break up that rice. We want to try and keep the rice whole. So just work it. And there you go. Once everything's homogeneous, everything's nicely mixed, now we're good. We're ready to go. We're ready to stuff our go-wump-key. So we got our cutting board with a knife, we got our bowl of meat mix, we got our pot. This is how we do it. We take a nice leaf. Now that rib that runs down the back that's really thick, you want to take your knife and kind of fillet it off. Just be very careful. Again, don't take your fingers off. But you want to take that off so it's easier to roll. Give a little slit on the bottom, like 2 inches or so, or less. The smaller the leaf, the smaller the slit. And that'll just help us roll it. So lay your leaf out. Take your scoop. This is I think a number 24 scoop. You want about 1/4 cup to 1/3 cup per leaf. Just enough to roll it. I mean, each leaf is going to be a different size. So roll over from the bottom, one side, then the other side, and then just roll it. And that's it. Like a little burrito. So cute. Now, I don't like to use toothpicks in them. I like to just lay them in so they kind of lock together. So that's exactly what I do. I just roll it and then put it in the pot up against the side so it stays together. Now I'm going to do these in layers. You're going to end up with like 3 layers of, or I ended up with 3 layers of go-wump-key. Show you another one real quick. Put the little slit in the bottom. Get that to lay flat. Dispense our meat. Remember, a smaller leaf, you need to use less meat. A bigger leaf, you can use more meat. But 2 scoops of that was perfect. So from the bottom, you can cross that edge over. Once you get over, pull it tight. Pull in left side, right side. And then just roll it the rest of the way. And then stick that in the pot next to the other one. And I'm going to keep going, doing this process over and over again until we're all done. Now we're at the bottom. I used up all the big good leaves. I got the smaller, whiter ones, which are fine. You can use those. They're delicious. Like I said, they're sweeter. They're just not as tender. And since I was running out of meat, I just used 1 scoop. Same thing. Fold it over. Left side, right side. Roll it to finish. And then put that in the pot with the rest of them. Now it's time for our tomato sauce for it. 1 12-ounce can of tomato paste. To that, we're going to add 1 teaspoon each of salt and freshly ground black pepper. Now 4 cups of boiling water. I just nuked this for 5 minutes. It gets it hot enough. We're going to pour 2 cups in. Then we're going to whisk it so it mixes. The tomato paste will melt a little bit. Look at that. It'll all come together. And then once it's fully mixed, we'll put the other 2 cups in and give it a final stir. But you want to make sure you break up that tomato paste. There we go. Then we'll add our other 2 cups of boiling water. Starting off with boiling water, by the way, will help the go-wump-key cook in the pot. So give that a nice stir. Make sure there's no chunks of tomato paste. Now we have our pot, and we're just going to pour it right on top. Make sure all of them get wet. Make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. There we go. Now, because we didn't use a toothpick or string to tie these up, I'm going to use an oven-safe plate to put on top, almost to act as a weight. So make sure it's oven-safe, and make sure your pot and lid are oven-safe. So we'll just set that down. That'll hold the go-wump-key below the surface of the sauce. Put a lid on it. Now it's time to cook it.
All right, so these are going to go into the 350-degree oven for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. I'm going to slowly cook, slowly get even more and more delicious. So, hour and a half, $3.50. Stick around.
So I let these cook for about 2 hours because it was kind of densely packed. That's fine. You're almost slow cooking them at that point. Here we go. Time for the unveiling. Just be careful. The lid and the pot handles are very hot. Don't forget that it was in a 350 degree oven. We'll take the lid off. Now we'll get us some tongs to take off that plate because that plate is hot. Look at that. That is beautiful. That is perfect go-wump-key. Let's get some plate action on this. See, this is why they're called pigeons, because they're like little pigeons that we're putting on the plate. Get one, we'll get another. Then we'll throw some lawn clippings on. Well, actually, we'll throw a little extra sauce on top. Then we'll throw some lawn clippings because it's green and we can pretend it's healthy because it's green. That is beautiful. I want to eat that.
I seriously cannot wait to taste this. The whole house smells of cabbage and beef and tomato. It's just... Here we go. Right there. There's your bite. Look at that. If we can focus. There we go. There we go. Close enough. Close enough. Whoa. That's a kick in the face with flavor. This, just, the flavors, the combinations of flavors just bring me back to my childhood. These were one of my favorite things growing up. My grandmother would make them on occasion, and they were just so damn good. Please, make this. Definitely make this. And of course, there's only one beverage to wash down some delicious Polish food, and that's beer. Na zdrowie. It's so good. So good. All right, so make this for yourselves. Try this out. It just takes time. It's not hard. It's simple. It's actually fairly inexpensive. So try it out. Let me know how it comes out for you. If you want to see me make something, if you have any suggestions, drop it down in the comments. You want to tell me I suck? Of course, please put that down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. I really appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next one.